From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
I might swerve in that corner.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, production over potential. That's a strategy. We're all about it. But what if the portal guys have already peaked? Top transfer running back picks the SEC. What's it mean for the Florida State offense? And some national storylines that caught our eye. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it and feel better. Like 64% of the people in a 14-day clinical trial that said that the shots are a great mood booster, or the 78% of participants, Corey, that said they agreed that vitamin energy shots are effective at reducing brain fog. You can take part in this as well, but not even the study, just the enhancement of your life by going to vitaminenergy.com. Shake it and take it. Noles behind the controls of this whole operation, so let's show some love, shall we? Shake it and take it. vitaminenergy.com. Warchant.com, ultimate Seminoles sports source. Lots going on there. Hot boards, way too early projected depth charts at certain positions. Might kick that one around for a minute or two. And all the great writing from Corey Clark. There was a post on the Tribal Council from longtime subscriber Fabulous Knoll that said, everybody keeps talking about all this production versus potential, and it's going to be different this year. Why is it going to be different this year, Corey? And then somebody quickly responded, check the top of the page. First stories from Corey Clark laying it all out bare for you. So you're doing Lord's work out there, Corey, for everybody. Appreciate you.
That's what I've been trying to do all my life, Aslan. But yeah, it's I think we talked about it some on the last show, and then I wrote about it for Monday. And it's you look at the 16 transfers they brought in a season ago. I know you didn't read the column, Aslan. Why would you? But how many of those 16 from last year's transfer portal were starters at their former school?
2?
5. That counts DJ. And then it's Richie Leonard, Grady Kelly, and 2 other guys.
Sione, I think you counted Sione.
Yeah, Lola Hea, and there was another one. So 5 total. And now Devontae Brown had started in his career, but wasn't really a starter there. Maybe Duke Cooper was the 5th. I can't remember. So 5 out of 16. So the difference is, there were 5 out of 16 from last year's transfer portal class that were starters the previous year. Now, there are a lot of guys that had potential, we thought, like Marvin and Benson. And Benson was a sort of starter, but not really. I guess Sean Murphy, you thought, Earl Little. This year they have 16 transfer portals transfers. 12 were starters a season ago. I mean, come on now. You see what they've decided to do. Instead of 5 out of 16, it's 12 out of 16. Production is off the charts, especially offensively, compared to what it was a season ago. You look at I kind of dove a little deeper into the numbers. So you would say maybe the 3 biggest names they got on defense last year were Murphy, because he was a former almost 5-star recruit at Alabama. Mm-hmm. Earl Little was a 5-star recruit at Alabama. Marvin Jones was a 5-star recruit out of Georgia. Well, those 3 combined in their careers had 21 total tackles.
23.
Combined, their whole career. That's close enough. Yeah.
I'm reading your column now, buddy.
So that's crazy, right? And then you go get the 2 linebackers they just got, along with the Western Kentucky defensive end. What is it, over 300?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like 350 tackles compared to 23.
Like 400, because Stephon Thompson had 199, Elijah Herring had 151, and Deontay McCray's got 104.
Yeah, so that's 200, 305. Yeah, that's like 410 tackles compared to 23. And then you look at the receivers they brought in with Deuce Robinson and Squirrel White compared to last year's crew, which was Malik Benson and Jalen Brown. Malik Benson and Jalen Brown had, I think, 13 catches for 162 in their careers. Jalen Brown had 0. These 2 guys, just those 2 wide receivers, have over, I think, 2,500 yards receiving in their careers. When you throw in Randy Pittman, the tight end from Randy Pittman from UCF, yeah. You have 3,000 receiving yards joining your roster compared to last year when you got 163. Mm-hmm. So that's just obviously we all knew that anyway. You can tell by the names they're getting that they had a different approach to the portal this time, which is the right approach when you're coming off 2-10. You don't need to take a lot of chances. Now, again, as we talked about, maybe not a ton of star power, but that's not what's important right now. What's important right now is getting solid, competent college football players, getting a competent offense and a competent defense. I feel like they've done that, and they've brought in a ton of production. And it's funny, when you look at the defensive numbers that I broke down, like the games played, the tackles, they're all, especially the starts. Actually, last year's defensive class, portal class, had more combined starts than this year's defensive class so far. But like 60 of them, 50 of them, 60 of them were Grady Kelly, Devontae Brown, and Duke Cooper. I mean, all three of those guys were brought in to be what, man? Depth pieces. Yeah. None of them were expected to start. But Cooper and Brown, one of them you knew wasn't going to play at all. The guys they're bringing in this class with Herring and Stephon Thompson and the dudes on the defensive line, they're all expected to contribute a lot. Maybe the Western Kentucky kid is a depth piece. He might be your starter. But they've got real players with real experience, not hope. They're not portaling on hope. They're portaling on knowledge, and that should at least equal, obviously a better season. I don't know how high the ceiling is, but certainly much higher than it was last season. In hindsight now, I know none of us were saying this a year ago at this point. I wasn't saying this a year ago at this point. I was excited about somebody like Earl Little and Marvin Jones. I really was.
How could you not be? Yeah.
Right, but now, after a year of watching, I think I have a little bit more knowledge to say, okay, they weren't great. Those weren't great additions, and they would have been better served going and getting guys that had actually played a lot and produced. I think that seems obvious, evident from what we saw the last year. So they went a different direction, which is good for them.
Is it being a jerk by pointing out, like, the 16 guys that they brought in? I don't know, like 13 of them they're probably counting on being starters, but of those 13, probably 10 of them have, I would surmise, maybe hit their collegiate ceiling, which I don't think is necessarily a problem. I mean, Squirrel White's played 3 full seasons practically. He's caught 30.
We know what he is, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Jason Jenkins feels like a guy we don't know. Like Herring, you kind of know what you're going to get. Diggs, the kid from Western Kentucky, probably know.
Yep.
The offensive line is probably a more difficult thing to contextualize, but like I like what they possibly could be if they can work in harmony and get, grooved up here, right? But, Pittman, I think, he's had a lot of football and he's been very productive. I don't know if he's going to jump and be like a Mackey Award finalist. Not totally discounting, but, Thompson on defense, he's played so much football. It feels like, James Williams gives you something like maybe he can be something special. Deuce, I think, has enough runway left in front of him. He could be something special. And then Jason Jenkins. Otherwise, it feels like, the haze in the barn.
Maybe that linebacker from Carolina, too. There's nothing on him.
He certainly does, but I don't know where I should pull up Ira Schoffel's way too early projected linebacker depth chart.
No, I'm saying I wouldn't expect him to start. But he has a chance, perhaps. And, when you think about that linebacker room in particular, I think we know what Thompson and Herring are. They're solid to good college linebackers. They're not NFL probable draft picks, certainly not first couple days, or they'd already be in the NFL. They've been playing college football for a long time. But they're veterans that are going to know what they're doing. They just know what they're doing. That's wonderful. That's a step up. Just having somebody in the right fit is such a veteran that they're coachable and they're not going to make glaring mistakes. Like, I know the defensive line took a lot of grief early on because they were giving up they gave up a lot of rushing yards the whole season. And some of that obviously is on the defensive line, but as I pointed out routinely, we all did throughout the fall, a lot of that is linebackers just not knowing where the F they're supposed to be. Going in the completely wrong direction of where the ball is. So the defensive lineman does his job, keeps his lineman off the linebacker, takes up a double team to free up a linebacker, but it doesn't matter because the linebacker's running towards the sideline for an inexplicable reason. That shouldn't happen much anymore. You're going to have grown-ups at linebacker. And don't you think, like Nicholson, Cryer, the kid
Omar Graham.
But the kid from North Carolina, too, those are all 3 of those will be sophomores.
Right.
Now, they've played some football, but they're going to be sophomores. They can't help but learn from these veteran guys.
Well, Blake's a junior, but I get it. I mean,
is he really a junior?
Yeah, Cryer as well.
Okay, they got wasted in 2023. Those both should have been redshirt freshman years. I don't understand why they weren't. But that's just crazy. Go back, guys. Go back and relitigate that. They're redshirt sophomores. Corey Clark said so. Those guys will learn from the more experienced guys, but also they have their own experience now. So, but there's also competition, man. Like Blake Nicholson's not going to just give up a job. Neither is Justin Cryer. They're not going to just be like, oh, the portal guys are here. Have at it. We'll learn from you. They played 12 games. So, Blake Nicholson played the whole season. Cryer was a starter until he got hurt. Omar Graham has started. There's going to be real competition to get on the field. Last year, it was basically, okay, are you a scholarship linebacker? Run out there. You're on the field. This year, you got to go earn it. And they're also going to be playing more 3 linebacker sets, obviously. But I'm very excited about that linebacker room. Not excited because I think it's full of Telvin Smiths and Derek Brooks. Excited because the floor has been raised to at least a competent level, and maybe much more competent than that. Because I don't think either one of us think that Nicholson and Cryer can't play.
No,
they just a lot of times weren't in the right spot. Some of that's on them, I guess. I don't know the coaching-player relationship or how hard they're studying, but I feel like a lot of that is on the coaching itself and just experience. And now you've got a linebacker core. Like, think about the linebacker core last year before that Georgia Tech game. How many starts did those guys have combined? Like, DJ Lundy, and he was banged up, right? I know did he play in the Georgia Tech game? But I know he was hurt. I think he played, but he was hurt. But Cryer and Nicholson, their only starts had been the Georgia game.
Right.
Well, now you've got and I think DJ Lundy had probably started 10 times.
And Lundy did start. Yeah, Lundy started until after the SMU game when he got hurt. So he started the first 5 games of the year.
Okay, and Omar Graham had played some, but not a ton.
Right.
So you probably had, I would guess, with those 4 guys, Lundy, Graham, Nicholson, Cryer, a total of 15 starts in their careers, maybe, and most of them by Lundy. Now you've got at least 4 guys that were starters last year for a whole season. Plus Omar Graham, who's been a part-time starter. That's 5 guys with you've got tons of starting experience, which I just love that they don't just get to go out there because they're scholarship linebackers. They have to go earn the right to be on the football field. That's going to make them all better. It has to. But the North Carolina kid is a perfect example of that. He's got to bust his butt to get on the field. To even get on the field, he's going to have to be good. Not just, I'm here, coach, and I'm healthy, run me out there. No, he's got to go earn it. That's a good thing.
Well said, yeah. Yeah. I mean, looking at the depth chart Ira sketched out here for us, I mean, you're talking about perhaps at one linebacker spot, Elijah Herring, and then he'll be backed up by Cryer and then a host of redshirt freshmen. Your other traditional linebacker spot, probably Omar Graham, might be just a shade ahead of Blake Nicholson right now. And then behind them is the aforementioned kid from North Carolina, Caleb LaValle. And then your jack spot, Stephon Thompson, who's played 2 seasons for Tony White, one at Syracuse, one in Nebraska. And that jack spot, there's all sorts of flexibility there. Aaron Hester, maybe he gets unlocked with his body type. Maybe he's no longer a tweener. Maybe he actually fits right as a jack. And then the whole Amari Williams experiment, which can he be our Travis Hunter? Can we still have him go out and play a little tight end too? I'm not opposed to that. Let's make it happen.
Me either, buddy. I mean, I feel like they need him more at defensive end right now because I feel like they're set with a couple really good tight ends. But, might as well get him. He could get All-American. He could be like at least a Jabril Peppers. Sprinkle him in on offense. He's not going to play every snap both ways, but sprinkle him in a little bit. And, for people that don't know, like it sounds like people are wondering, like, what do you mean Aaron Hester? He's a defensive end. Well, the 3-3-5, it's different. There's different roles. Linebackers coming off the edge more. You can stand up guys more that maybe were defensive ends last year. But I think out of those guys, Aslan, I think Thompson is the penciled in, almost written in ink starter because of his history in this defense with this coach.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure that Herring is going to beat out Cryer.
I think so. I think
they're going to play a lot.
Crier's injury, I think we'll have to see how much he was able to bounce back from that, because I feel like, didn't Mike say he was a little bit optimistic on it? Might have not been as bad as they anticipated, but he got hurt North Carolina game? He got hurt late in the season.
I feel like it, yeah. So he might, whether he plays in the practice in the spring will be a big deal. But I'm just saying, I think they do. I think Norvell likes Cryer, and it's not like this coaching staff has a history with Herring. Right. So, they'll play the best player. They don't have any ties to him. I think Thompson, they have a lot of faith in. He'll probably be the green dot. He'll be the guy calling the signals or getting the calls from the coach. But other than that, I think it's all up for grabs. And going back to the potential, like the runway, you mentioned Deuce. Like, Deuce could have a breakout year. I mean, It's not – you could see it. It was – there were moments – there were a lot of flashes at USC where you're like, okay, if he was the go-to guy, that could be something. So he might – he and the Williams kid from Nebraska have the biggest chance, I think, to show us more that have already shown some that could show us even more. Yep. Like, could really take off. Could be potentially all ACC guys. And remember, Squirrel White, he had 800 yards in 2023 in the SEC. Like, that's an upgrade. That's a big deal. I'm just saying I think we know what his ceiling is, which is still very good. But Deuce Robinson's ceiling might be, I don't know, man, first, second-day pick in the NFL. I mean, I know that's kind of half glass full, but we don't know. It's untapped. And I think the same thing with the Nebraska defensive end. Those might be the guys that were kind of laying in the cut, pretty nice pickups that end up being great pickups like a Trey Benson.
Do you think Ja'Kai Douglas could have caught 67 for 803 in the Josh Heupel offense at some point in his career?
I don't know.
67. Did I say 87? I'm sorry. 67 for 803. He had
67 catches. That's in 2023. Something. Right. And he returns punts.
Not a lot, though. He I don't know if he gave it up or they stopped doing that about 4 or 5 games into this past season. But he's shown the ability to do it. But maybe somebody else passed him up a little bit better. So, but yeah, I mean, hey, if Squirrel White can be that guy, even if he's not, his 2 down years, he still caught like over 30 passes for about 500 yards one year, 400 the other, about averaged over 10 yards a catch, 2 touchdowns. And
he was injured, but I just like the fact that I know I take shots at the SEC all the time, but he's done it against those defenses. Nothing will overwhelm him. Heck, he's beaten Alabama, I think. Yeah. Didn't they beat Alabama while he was there?
Yeah, this past season, he caught 2 years in a row, I think, actually. He caught 6 passes against Georgia this year, man.
Yeah, so he's done big things. I mean, he's done it against the best and great, incredible environments, some of the best environments in the country. So he's not going to be overwhelmed. It's not going to take him a month to get acclimated to big boy college football. He's lived it. Deuce Robinson, too, for that matter. So I just love that. I love, on offense especially, that what they brought in and the experience of production they brought in, when you really break it down by the numbers, how many more starts they have, how much more production they've had, it really bodes well that this could be a nice bounce back season. Again, I think the ceiling is only as high as the special is on your team, and we don't know what that is, but we really don't. But there could be guys poised for breakout seasons. But even if they just play to what they've always played. Like that saying, you play to the back of your baseball card. If you just play to what you've always been, it looks to me to be a pretty sizable upgrade on offense and a pretty good upgrade on defense. I'd like one more on the defensive line. I'll be honest with you.
We'll see. Time's still out there. Hope you all enjoyed your Tuesday. Hope you made it out to Corner Pocket and saw Corey out there playing trivia. You can get out there on Thursday night. You can do bingo. 4 chances to win $250 on bingo night at the CP. Don't forget, daily lunch specials go down from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for only $8.99. They're all delicious. They all come with a side dish of your choice, also delicious. Then they got the Vegas wall of screens, TVs galore everywhere, darts, billiards, cold drinks. And again, we're in the midst of however many days in a row of football. Or does it start on Thursday? Are we in the midst of it right now, Corey? I can't even keep up. We're in the midst of it, right? They were in the midst of it.
What do you mean? What?
Like we're supposed to have like football every day for like 8 days in a row or something here?
Oh yeah, starting Thursday. It's 5 nights of playoff games in a row.
Look at that.
5 straight nights. Isn't that awesome?
Do that, folks. Do it at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. CPTallybar.com, the website, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. We back. It is Wake Up Warchant. Is presented by Vitamin Energy. Sip the juice. VitaminEnergy.com. On Tuesday, you talked about wanting another defensive piece, which I'm with you. Heart, body, and soul, my friend. Offensively, it seems like the last piece Florida State was waiting on was Utah State running back Rahsul Faison. He went ahead and pulled the trigger to South Carolina, which was like the 5th. I mean, he give credit to the kid. He did all of his visits.
He sure did.
He was at Utah State. I think his first visit was Florida State. Then he goes to Alabama. Then he goes back to Utah. He goes to Salt Lake City to visit the University of Utah. And then he goes on an East Coast swing. I don't know if he made it to North Carolina. I think he did. I think he met with Bill Belichick. And then he went to South Carolina. And I guess in this case, the last visit kind of got you. It seems to be that I bring it up with Michael all the time, Corey, but it feels like so much of these portal kids, it's so much like NFL free agency where if they leave your facility and they don't sign, and I know everybody's getting sick of me talking about this, but like they usually don't end up signing with you. Sometimes it happens that way, but with Faison, that is not the case here. So any concern? I mean, I don't even want to frame it like that, but they're going to be good at running back. What do you take away maybe from the fact that he was like a very coveted piece for Gus and Mike in this offense? Does that mean anything that they need to get somebody or they don't feel good about they have a running back? How do you kind of maybe interpret all the conditions around that recruitment and loss?
Well, here's what I think and then what I hope was the case. I think they would have liked to have him. I don't think it was a necessity. Right. I think if they made him a necessity, like an absolute, you're not leaving here without signing with us, that would have happened. I hope, look, man, there's another window coming. There's also 4 teams still playing. And there's a Georgia defensive end that just went in the portal. Not huge numbers, but not horrible numbers either. And, hey, as I said on headlines, you're batting 500 with those Georgia defensive ends. Let's see if you get it. Maybe there's another one. You get up to 667. But, I think that you haven't – so I don't think they were all in on him, I guess I should say. They're not all in on him, but they would have loved to have had him. But they weren't going to make it an absolute necessity that they got him because, I do think they really like that. I mean, the running back they're bringing in.
Osman Cromah.
Yeah. From where is he? I know he's South Georgia.
Lee County, baby.
Yeah, Lee County. From Lee County. They really like him. I think that you have – I forgot this. Ira had to remind me. Roy Dell is still on the team, which I didn't realize. Which isn't – look, man, and somebody in the chat, Ira was laughing at it during a break. We were talking about Roy Dell. And I'm like, well, heck, if they got Roy Dell, they don't need this kid anyway. Now I was being facetious about it. But somebody immediately said, Roy Dell sucks, in all caps. Roy Dell doesn't suck. Roy Dell was hurt, and he played in a horrible offense in 2024.
He also fumbled against Memphis and kind of
hey, give him a break.
Set the
people
tempo.
fumble. Cam Akers fumbled. A couple huge fumbles in his career.
Hey, I got to take a shot at Mississippi guys.
He just did. I'm just saying. They would have won the weight game Willie's final year if he didn't fumble. And they would have beaten Boise State perhaps in that game. Willie, man. Willie's probably just cursing Cam's name. He's like, that kid had it out for me. What do you have against me? So you have – but also I think the idea of Cam Davis and Mekhi Danzy to go along with the freshmen, to go along with Roydell Williams, and a running quarterback that if he looks like he did 2 years ago, that might be an extra 800 yards running. You don't need – in this offense, you don't need an incredible – unbelievable running back, and I also don't think this kid is that. I think he's good. I think he might be. I think he might be better than anybody you have on the roster. But is it worth? Yes. Is it worth overspending for him when you're pretty good at running back anyway? Perhaps. And I think personally, I think you've got to save that money if you're willing to spend big money on one more player. Defensive line. And I would not. Forego an addition on the defensive line, a big boy addition on the defensive line for your 5th running back in your 5th or 6th scholarship running back. As good as he might be, I just have enough confidence in that offense that it's going to produce holes in yards running the ball, almost no matter who's back there. Obviously, the better running back, if you have a special running back, that makes everything better. But for what we know, the Auburn kid, I'm sorry, not the Auburn kid. The Lee County kid might be a special running back. Feel like they spent some money on him, so he needs to be.
Beat Georgia for him, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you all can do the math there. They really believe in him. Let's see what he is. And, again, this would have been a nice want, but it wasn't a need. You didn't need a 5th running back. Even if he would have been your starter, I don't know the wins above replacement for Faison versus the guys you have on the roster. I do know you get an all-conference caliber defensive lineman. You're talking about a difference, I think, of like legitimate, tangible differences in wins. So that's what I'm saying. I hope I hope the calculus there was, okay, we could make it where this kid doesn't leave Tallahassee. We could outbid so-and-so and so-and-so and get him. But then our coffers might be empty when a defensive lineman becomes available, and we've got to be smart about how we spend the rest of our budget. And I just think the offense, the running game with Malzahn, with Hand, with the running backs you have on campus should be good enough. It should be at least be competent. Your defensive line, I still think, needs an upgrade. That's just me talking, though.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking here that they really like this offensive line. They like Castellanos and what he can be running the football. I mean, when you talk about Deuce and you got Squirrel White and then fill in whoever's going to be the other receiver if you want. Maybe that's the number 3 receiver. Maybe Squirrel White is your number 2 receiver, even though he's going to play slot. I mean, Ja'Kai was kind of your number 1 receiver, and he mostly played on the inside, I feel like. But I think they might have gotten really excited about what this offense would have been with I'll say elite. I don't want to say special, but I'll say elite running back. He's got a lot of plaudits and a lot, like Bama wanted him. Belichick brought him in, so he's a guy.
He's got some stuff too. I mean, like I said, I think he would be the best running back on your roster.
Yeah.
I actually don't think there's any question about that, especially in September, because he's played so much football. I don't know if he'd be the best running back on your roster by November if the Lee County kid finds it.
Let's hope. Let's get a true freshman to step up, man.
Yeah,
somebody do it, please. Please,
or Cam might take a big leap. Makai Danzy might actually be used. Roydell is serviceable-ish. I think that's not fair. He's serviceable. He's an okay to decent college running back. He's not this kid though.
Yeah.
I do think this kid. I don't want it to sound like sour grapes. All like they didn't want him anyway. They obviously they wanted him. I'm just saying they didn't need him. They just didn't need him. And I don't know. We don't even know. It's not like. There's no transparency in the recruiting game anymore, so not everything is equal. South Carolina might have a good running back coming in or coming back. I don't know, but I also don't know what they offered him. If South Carolina offered him $250,000 more than Florida State was offering, well, then what are you going to do? And would you want Florida State to go up $250,000 more or $300,000 more than what they were offering him for a running back when you got 5? I that's just it. I'm saying I don't know.
Yeah.
But people
might have been asking that question last year about a quarterback.
Yeah, right. But running back isn't as important as quarterback.
But again, I think this offense has everything it needs. I think they don't feel they're not in love with what they have at running back. I think they would have been in love with Faison and then what the entire picture looks like. Because Cam Davis, there's no verdict in on him, but I don't know if they feel like, all right, first 5 weeks we're going to be great. Because remember, last year, Ira was talking about the way the schedule was set out. It seemed like the harder games were going to kind of build up throughout the season. So you didn't have to be amazing in September. You just had to get better and then peak in October. Well, I guess that's the case this year because, you have Alabama game 1, but then you've got Kent State, you've got East Texas or whatever they're calling Texas A&M Commerce. So, yeah, maybe 3-4 games and then Cam Davis or Croma gets their shine going on. But, right out the gate against Bama, you have Faison behind Castellanos and this offensive line, Deuce Robinson, Squirrel White, Hakeem after a great spring or Elijah Moore after a great spring. And you're like, okay, buckle up, Todd. You're gonna be in for it for 60 minutes. And not to say that they won't without that great running back, but that's TBD. But as you said, there's another window, and maybe somebody pokes their head in there, and then they pull them in.
Yeah, they were looking at him for a reason. But I would ask you this: let's say the one of the reasons they got Croma to commit and to sign, and he's on campus. Was because he looked at the depth chart and was like, well, okay, I got to beat out Roydell Williams and 2 guys that didn't do much last year, 1 guy that did it, Danzy, that didn't play, and Cam Davis, who didn't look great. He played a lot but didn't look great. Okay, I'm going to get a lot of carries. Then you go and bring in a guy that's rushed for 2,000 yards in his career. There's nothing that keeps people from hitting the portal again. So my question is, would you rather have 1 year of Faison if it meant you lost out on this, if this kid just got his – he's like, and I'm not saying I have no inside knowledge. I don't even think this is a. It's a possibility. It's not a probability that this would have been the case. But if you're all of a sudden you recruit this big, almost 5-star running back to come in and be your guy, and then you go hit the portal right over him, what does he get? Is he like, you know what? Athens is looking pretty good, and I haven't signed. Nothing is set in stone with these signatures anymore. Right. I can go to Athens and be there in April. You know what I mean? I don't know, and I'm not saying that had any effect on why they obviously they offered him and they brought him to campus. I'm saying I think that we don't know what this kid is. I'm talking about Cromaw. He might be really special. I'm not trying to put too much on him, but if he's really special and a running back, you can play earlier as a true freshman. I'm not talking about a right tackle. This is a kid, you get on the field pretty early as a true freshman if you're good. He's going to get plenty of carries, plenty of opportunities. He might be the dude. And you would have hated to scare him away. He might be like an NFL second round pick. First round pick. I'm not going to limit him. He could be an NFL first round pick. You don't want to scare him away because you got an NFL sixth round pick to play 1 year for you. So I'm just saying there might be a silver lining to it. Obviously, that's not what the Florida State coaches were thinking, and I do think it hurts you against Alabama, because is that kid going to start his first game of his freshman year is against Alabama at Doak at night? Like, that's tough. This other kid's played a bunch of football, and you know he's going to be good. He is going to be more than good. But I also have a lot of faith, and I think it's founded. This isn't just pie in the sky homerism. It is absolutely founded that this coaching staff is going to figure out a way to run the ball no matter who is running it. They are going to run the ball and run it well. Now, the difference is between a decent running back and a great running back is the 20-yard runs become 60-yard runs. We'll see if they have any of that on their roster right now. They might. It's just young. So they do miss out on some ability. But at the end of the day, I just think they have bigger – I think they have bigger holes. It would have been nice. It would have been nice to get that kid. Your ranking would have shot up. You'd be top 30 in the on-3 portal rankings.
They're 16th right now.
Okay, great. If you'd have gotten that kid. But I do think that overall, I just think they have more issues. They have bigger holes to me, because I have faith that Hand and Malzahn will develop a running game with the guys they got on this roster, because they're not devoid of talent.
No,
they might be devoid of like really experienced talent, but I think they got some guys they can work with. And again, Castellanos comes into the mix now too. Like, you've basically got a fifth running back that throws the ball some of the time. So that's a nice weapon to have as well.
Was the aforementioned Georgia defensive lineman Damon Wilson?
That sounds right. I think he went in the portal on Monday, maybe Monday or Sunday.
Oh no, he dropped in there on Tuesday, but he's already being forecasted, RPM'd to Ohio State.
Oh, so he's probably pretty good, maybe.
6'4", 250. He's played 2 seasons at Georgia. He played over 400 snaps as passer, but didn't start in any games.
Oh, but he played 400 snaps?
Yeah.
In a year?
I take it back. I see that. I got, for some reason, it keeps defaulting to 2024. He started in 2 games this past year. But he played over 400. He played 417 snaps. Graded out at 55.7 though.
That's not great. But he did. But he playing 400 snaps for Georgia defense isn't anything to sneeze at. But so again, you've got 4 teams left. That none of their good players are in the portal, and maybe none of them get in the portal. Any of their role players, not even role players, they're rotation players. But save some money in case one of those D linemen become available, and obviously have some money going for spring. Because I just think, I know they have a bunch of defensive linemen. Knighton and White will get a good look at all of them. They'll see what they have. But it's nice to know, they obviously still have some money to spend because they were offering this kid. So it's nice to know that there's still some money out there and some spots available, more than a few, to get some help on the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball. I think the offensive line is probably taken care of unless some big name pops out and is interested in Florida State. Again, I'm just going to keep hammering that. I think the defensive line, to me, D-line, maybe safety, are the two places I would look at the most. I think the offense might be done.
Yeah, Faison was it. That was pretty much all they were waiting for on that side of the ball, feels like. So who do we have at safety right now, other than, like, Shaheem's one, and then what, like KJ Kirkland? Is he?
Kirkland, there's Hussey. He's still on the roster, right?
Yeah.
Who knows, folks?
Or Earl Little, I guess, or maybe, I don't know.
Earl Little, and look, I know I took shots at Earl Little. I didn't mean to take shots at him. I wasn't trying to take shots at him. But he came in with 5 stars from 2 years prior, but it did nothing. 0 production at the college level. I liked some of what I saw from him, all things considered. I just liked the physicality he played with, and maybe there is a role for him on this defense. Maybe he's your starting safety. I did not like him. I never really liked him at nickel, I didn't think he looked great in practices. I didn't think he could cover people in the slot. I thought it was an odd fit for him. He's not kind of that didn't seem to be his skill set to be able to cover that twitchy guy out in the flat or coming off the line of scrimmage. But I do think he might have the mindset to play safety, and that would be nice if I think he'll be in the running. Shaheem, again, Shaheem's probably your starter at one of the safeties, but he hadn't earned anything with this coaching staff. Nothing. He's probably penciled in, but that's not a guarantee. But he'll start the season as the first teamer, and it would be nice if he was your starter, like he played like a starter, because I do think that personality and that leadership is important. But yeah, safety, it's up for grabs, man. I don't know. Earl Little, Hussey, Ashland Barker, is he still around, or did he bounce?
Old Ashland Barker, that's right.
So you've got some DBs coming up. I know you lost Cypress, you lost Azarie. But I think we like Charles Lester. I think we like Kai Bates. I think we like Ricky Knight. And I think we like the potential of somebody like Howard. And obviously Quindarius Jones has played some. So you got 5 guys that
did you say Charles
battling.
Lester?
I did.
Okay.
So you got 5 guys that are going to be battling for the 2 starting cornerback spots. Again, that's competition. And it's not competition between a bunch of slugs. It's competition of 5 guys that can play, or at least have the ability, have shown some potential, and we're big deal recruits. So again, I think that I love the fact that they're going to have so much more competition on the practice field. Nobody's given anything. Castellanos is given the starting spot at quarterback, but Brock Glenn ain't going to just be like, "Hey, man,
right?
You got it, man. Just tell me what you need. Tell me where you want the iPad when you come off the bench."
Trevor Jackson, too, man. Don't forget about Trevor Jackson.
You've got competition there. You absolutely are going to have competition at running back, and you're going to have competition at receiver, because all these guys that are still here from last year, they want to show what they can do with a new coaching staff and a new wide receivers coach. Now, they're behind the 8 ball because Deuce Robinson and Squirrel White weren't brought here to sit, but there's plays out there for them to get on the field too. So I just think the way they've reshuffled the roster with some proven dudes, but not superstars that you just have to bow down to them and be like, "Oh, absolutely, it's yours, sir. You got the job, sir. Just tell me what you need, sir." No. All spring it's going to be a ton of competition, which is just so good for the program.
Edwin Joseph, too. Did we say Edwin Joseph?
We didn't. I think he's
more
of a nickel.
He's a nickel. But yeah, still, just defensive backs, lots of options. And it's still Surtain back there, so he'll know where everyone fits in. We got more to talk about. Got to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. It's the dawn of a new year. Let us manifest abundance. Or let us live on Earth and take a more measured approach. Do you know that 85% of us have at least one subscription going unused each month? Yeah, I'm included. Imagine paying $50 at the pump and getting no gas. Imagine dropping $20 on lunch and getting no food. Yeah. Let's get our affairs in order with Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel our unwanted subscriptions, plus it monitors our spending. This can help lower expenses and lets us grow our savings. Let's max out those 401ks and IRAs. Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts, allowing you to see all your subscriptions in one place and let you know exactly where your money is going. And for the subscriptions you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can even help you cancel them. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/game-on. That's rocketmoney.com/game-on. We're back. Final segment of the day. Don't forget, live show tonight, 6 o'clock. You cool with that, Corey? Didn't mean to pressure you, but...
Yeah, let's do it.
There we go.
Let's do it.
It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Sip the juice. All right, let's go speed round here real quick, Corey. Do you feel bad at all for Texas with their head coach having NFL rumors swirling around him going into the playoff? Is this payback for them trying to poach Jimbo going to the national title game back in 2013?
The first answer to your question is no, I do not feel bad for them at all.
Okay.
I was thinking, how scared would Florida State fans be if Florida State had just gone 8-4 this past year? So Mike Norvell had won 31 games the last 3 games. He's still considered one of the most promising coaches in the country. He didn't have the stink of 2-10 on him. And then you feel like if Sarkisian left, would they make a run at Norvell? If Brian Kelly got fired, would LSU make a run at Norvell? Well, when you go 2-10, you don't have to worry about things like that.
All right, got it. Yeah, good luck with that. Shout out to their AD who's just like, I'm not talking about that. That's nonsense. It's the biggest game of our year coming up.
And
good
I think
for Chris
their
Del Conte.
president
left for SMU.
Left for SMU.
He left for SMU. SMU's going to be our overlord in the ACC. I'm here for it, man.
At least for the academics. You know what I mean? Get Sarkisian to leave for SMU, then we'll talk.
I don't know. Are they going to listen? They forfeited, or they're foregoing all their revenue split because they just want to get into a big boy conference, which I guess that's what the ACC is. But yeah, they're still not throwing bags at everybody. You figured that's kind of what they were going to do because it's legal right now. Apparently, they're going after Tyler Van Dyke. Can you believe that? Like, I know Kevin Jennings had an absolute meltdown in Happy Valley. Yeah. But to bring somebody that has a legitimate chance to take the job away from him, I don't know. I kind of admire it, though. I'm hurt for that kid. Like, that sucks. They didn't believe in him. Like, he was the backup going to the season. Then he had to earn the job kind of midway through it or in the early part of it. But, he gets you he takes SMU to the playoff, and then you're already trying to replace him. But I guess SMU is just going to be cutthroat like that.
That would make no sense. Kevin Jennings is twice the player that Tyler Van Dyke is. That would make no sense to run him off for Tyler Van Dyke. That just and it makes no sense for Van Dyke. Go to a school where you can play. Yeah. Like Rhett Lashley's not a dummy. I can't imagine unless Jennings is just broken.
Well, he had his best season of his career when Lashley was at Miami. So it's like, all right, maybe run it back.
Yeah, but Lashley just got to the playoffs with this kid.
Well, he may just knows. He's like, man, Tyler would not do that ever.
Oh, I guess Tyler. We'd have been 12-0 with Tyler. We'd have beaten Penn State by 40. Maybe that would be. Then Kevin Jennings would be a very hot commodity.
That kid, though, man, like Matt
if he comes back from that disaster.
Yeah. Like Matt Barkley, Tyler Van Dyke. Who else out there was at one point mocked as a first-round NFL quarterback, and then.
Oh, Jimmy Clausen.
Yeah, like they need to have their own podcast and put it behind a paywall. I'll pay for it. I want to hear them talk about coming to grips with everything around them. So Alabama, Kalen DeBoer tried to have the whole band join him in Tuscaloosa, and they agreed to it. Ryan Grubb had been with him at South Dakota State or Sioux Falls. Also was with him at Fresno and then was with him at Washington. And he agreed to be the OC at Alabama, but then the Seahawks of the NFL offered him the OC job, so he took it. They won 10 games this year, and he got fired.
Yep.
So I hope they don't get reunited. That would make me feel a little bit more anxious about the Alabama games. Not even on your radar. We're just way too far out for you to even consider that in your calculus right now.
Well, he'd have to fire his current OC, right?
Well, you don't have to. You can have as many coaches as you want in this day and age.
Well, that's true. But I would say if he fires who was his
Nick
OC?
Sheridan, who was like his O-line coach at Washington, I think.
Okay. So you make Nick Sheridan. So you demote Nick Sheridan or make them co-offensive coordinators. You bring this guy back. Well, how about the Noles go and make a run at Sheridan? This guy, like, you're going to be our 13th assistant coach, and you're going to tell us everything DeBoer wants to do. You're going to give us the lay of the land. If we win the game, you get an extra $250,000. You know what I mean? Like, right. That's what I'd do. If they don't, hey man, you won 9 games. You won 9 games with Alabama. And they're going to come and bring in another OC, the guy he really wanted all along. They don't respect you, Coach Sheridan. They don't like you. What are you even doing there? Come to Tallahassee. We'll give you everything you need and an extra $250,000 if we beat Alabama.
And
I see it. I see things differently.
No, it's fine. Hey,
I'm playing chess over here.
The 4D version of it. I like it. And then last thing, and I don't mean to pile on the gentleman here, but he put himself out there, and this is what happens when you're on social media this day and age. I didn't listen to it all, but Andy and Ari in the mornings, Andy Staples, Ari Wasserman, I think. Wasserman, who covered Ohio State for a long time. They do a morning pod for the On3 National thing, so they talk about ball in general, not just a specific team. They had Kirk Herbstreit on their show yesterday. Kirk, I guess, pushed back on trying to lobby for Alabama to get in this past season. Said that, they had 3 losses. They looked bad against Oklahoma. How could they not be happy with their current Final Four teams? And then he also said that he deleted Twitter a long time ago. Quote, I don't have it. My son tweets stuff out. I don't read anything. I don't see anything. And also, apparently he considered quitting College Game Day. I think the joy was lost there for a little bit. Thoughts on Kirk Herbstreit and, trying to dig out of the hole that he either dug himself in or slipped into a puddle and then people just kept pouring water on him and drowning him even more.
So what's odd about that is he says I deleted it a long time ago, right? Twitter.
Correct. You're right.
And who knows what that means. That could mean, in his world, 9 days ago, 12 days ago, or 5 years ago. Right after Michigan beat Alabama, the Kirk Herbstreit Twitter account tweeted, that's a big-time win for Michigan, showed a lot of strength. I can't remember what the tweet was. Something like, that's a great win for Michigan, showed a lot of toughness, culture, blah, blah, blah. Somebody tweeted at him immediately and said, that's the Alabama team that you wanted to be in the playoff. He quote tweeted that and said that something like, that's a false narrative, clown.
Oh, keep believing the narrative's clown or whatever? Yeah. So you're telling me he lets his son have that platform with that many followers and just have free reign? It's his name. Right.
I'm like Marlo Stansfield. My name is my name. Like, that's Kirk Herbstreit's name. So whether it's your son tweeting for you or not, so you're telling me your son tweeted out, that's a great win for – well, maybe he did. Isn't his son going to Michigan?
Yeah, congrats, Michigan, on a big win. Huge win for them in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And then somebody busted his shop, said, wait a second, why let facts get in the way of a bull bleep narrative? And then later that day, he did the whole keep believing the false narratives clown. So that was three tweets right there. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah. So you're saying that he lets his son interact with them.
I'm not. That's what he said.
I'm saying the royal you. Like, that's what he's trying to get us to believe, is that his son interacts like that on Twitter, and he doesn't know anything about it.
I guess.
He's falling apart.
He's
falling apart. I mean, that's so unbelievable. It's ludicrous. And he's treating us all like children.
He's throwing his kid under the bus. He's throwing his kid under the bus.
But there's no way you would allow, like, I got mad at Brady one time when I left my Twitter feed open and he just said, hey, everybody, this is Brady. I hope you're having a good – he just tweeted something innocuous, and I was mad about that. Imagine being Kirk Herbstreit. You're already kind of reviled now, and then you're calling people clowns and saying it's a false narrative when it wasn't. It's just asinine for us to believe that, number one, that you'd let your son tweet for you, but it's more asinine that you do if you did let your son. So there's not like you're losing either way. It's just degrees of how stupid you look. But it is. I mean, it's just, that's insanity. And yes, he absolutely should quit Game Day. He should get out of the public eye because he can't handle it. Like he should be Gary Danielson, man. Just do games. He's awesome. I love him calling college football games.
Really? Gary Danielson?
No, I'm saying I like Kirk Herbstreit calling college. No, Danielson's lost his fastball. He lost his fastball a while ago. I used to love him. But that's all Danielson does is just call the games. Right, he doesn't pontificate. He doesn't offer opinions. He just calls the games. That's what Herbstreit should. It's like
but he's on Game Day. That's what he's supposed to do
Tony
on
Romo.
Game Day. I mean,
just be that dude.
Yeah,
that's fine. You don't have to go sit for 3 hours a week and give opinions. Just call the game, and he's really good at that. And I hope he always does that. But clearly, with him voicing opinions and then there being feedback, he can't handle it. He can't handle it. He used to be so beloved, and now the whole country kind of sees it for what it is. It makes him mad. So then he makes up lies, or he has his son. He can't handle the Twitter, so he has his son police it. Or it's all nonsensical. So, it's okay, though. I've told this a lot. I don't ever check my mentions, or I rarely check my mentions. Huh. Because I know that I can't handle people saying mean things to me because I'm going to, or even not even mean things, just like disagreeing with me.
Right.
Because then I'm going to have to try to convince them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to spend 20 minutes with somebody I don't know trying to convince them of an argument that really, in the grand scheme of things, does not matter.
Yep.
So I know me personally, I can't handle that. I'm not good at it. So I just don't do it. So why would Kirk even engage with people?
Yeah.
Give an opinion, stick to it, and be done with it. But he can't. And he seems to be coming off the rails a little bit, which isn't great. I'm not rooting for that. I know some people might. I'm not rooting for that, and I really do like him as a color analyst. But yes, he should get off Game Day. Let just have McAfee kick field goals and Saban wear the hat. And that could be college game day for 3 hours. And whoever your guest picker is.
Hey, real quick on the way out, controversy in my group chat. I don't want to bring Brady into this, but let me maybe bring Brady into this. Okay. All right, let's say Brady's car, let's say he ran over a nail and his tire can't be patched. So one of his tires is gone, and the other 3 are in pretty good shape. They're probably going to be replaced, but not for probably another year and a half, 2 years or whatever. But you go to the tire shop and you're going to have to replace 2 tires, not just the one. We won't do one. We got to do 2 of them. And it would cost you probably $400 to do that. Or you could go to a mechanic grease monkey shop and you could get a used tire that's similar in condition to the other 3 tires for $50. What do you do?
You're talking about if that was Brady?
How about for yourself? Yeah, let's not put children, because some people might think it's a safety hazard having a used tire.
Yeah, I would just get the new ones.
Okay.
Just for peace of mind.
Okay.
And I can afford it. Okay. Because you know me, I'm incredibly wealthy.
Rolling in money.
Independently wealthy.
Correct.
So
known.
yeah, I wouldn't go. I don't know. I don't want to cost cut. I don't want to do cost cutting on tires.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like they're pretty important. You're also talking to somebody that spun out on 75 going 80 miles an hour because of bad tires in my life and spun off the road and legitimately, or that's probably 20 years ago around now, that I'm lucky to still be I'm here talking to you. So I always try to have, not that I'm great at keeping up with my cars, but tires mean a lot because I lived that life of driving in a bit of a rain and skidding off 75. Man, I was going on 75 south by Gainesville, left lane. I tried to get over the middle lane, and I literally spin out and hydroplane off the road.
Did you hit a patch puddle or something, or was it just?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't know, but I spun off the road.
Oh boy!
I was spinning. I couldn't stop because I was a dummy. I didn't turn with the spin like you're supposed to, or this. I tried to turn against it. The wheel locked up. And I spun from the middle lane all the way off the road into the woods and hit a tree. Now, if the tree would have hit – now, if I was a mile further down, there was a big valley off the road, and I would have flipped probably 6 times into the woods. It absolutely was straight, like it was just a normal grass off the side into the woods as opposed to a dip. So I just spun off the road, and the tree hit the back of my Isuzu Rodeo – great car, and split it in half all the way up to my back seat. If it would hit the front of the car, I would have died. If it would have hit, obviously, the driver's side, I would have died, I think. I definitely would have died then. I would have died if it hit the front of the car, probably. So I had a 50% chance of survival. Maybe just a 25%. Maybe the back is the only place it could have hit where I don't perish. And that was all because of bald tires. So there's your answer. I know you wanted a 5-second answer. Daddy went a little deeper.
No. I got the used tire, and I'm unapologetic about it.
Perfect.
I'm unapologetic about it.
That's fine, man.
Shout out to my buddy John, who supported me in my endeavor. Everybody else was like, I can't believe you're using a used tire. I'm like, man, it's not so much the money. I just don't want to replace 2 and then have to replace 2 more in a year and a half, and I'm always going to be off kilter. This will last me another year or 2, and then I'm going to replace all 4 of them at the same time. But yeah, you're still dealing with the same people when you go to a retail corporate one and a independently owned one. They just have lower overhead, and the tire has been used. But it's fine. It hasn't been patched. It's clean. Good tread on it. Pray for me, everybody.
All right, man. I'm glad.
Live show, 6 o'clock. Join us. Before then, though, the Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 4 o'clock. Don't forget, 3 hours of it. Check out warchant.com. Brady Smigel, the quarterback for the 26th class. Interview with him and Michael Langston. Get the insight on him. Lots going on. Stay connected to warchant.com. He's Cora Maslin. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy.